What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Jason and Joe here, coming at you with a review of the new St. Vincent record, All Born Screaming. I consider myself a St. Vincent fan. Love the self-titled and some of her earlier work, and I think the self-titled might have been like in the teens for me the year that came out, 2014, I believe. Hard to believe, already a decade removed from that. I also enjoyed Daddy's Home, a record that was, I don't know, kind of a divisive, maybe even people leaning a little more negative on that one. But even that was, I think I gave that 4 stars and placed pretty highly among my favorite that year as well. But now back with a new one, All Born Screaming. Bunch of guests, Dave Grohl, Josh Freese, Stella Magazawa, Cate Le Bon. So, also, I believe this is the first one that she's entirely producing on her own. So, what you think?
Well, thank God for that because Jack Antonoff couldn't take another record from him. St. Vincent's interesting for me. Uh, I've always just kind of liked her early stuff up until the self-titled, which I really like. Probably 4.5 stars. I saw her on Saturday Night Live in 2014 when that came out, and I was like, "Wow, what the hell is this? I gotta listen to this album." Really liked it, really liked her. Mass Seduction, massive disappointment. Some of them just blame Jack Antonoff for that. I don't know. Probably a little bit of both, but I'm just gonna place it on Jack because I hate him. Daddy's Home. I mean, I can't remember if I got to 4 stars. It might have been like a high 3.5. I thought it was pretty decent. The 70s aesthetic. Again, Jack Antonoff, not the person to call for 70s, like call somebody who knows how to do the 70s. So that kind of hurt it. So I wasn't quite sure what to feel about this one, what to think, what to expect, but I rather like this one. I think it's my favorite since the self-titled. Easily, it's interesting. I think it sounds better. I think the 70s aesthetic was a little forced. This feels like she's trying to channel like Peter Gabriel from the 80s, some Tori Amos, just kind of bringing that arty pop into the 21st century. I think it's pretty accessible, even though it's dark and it's got some big angry swells and there's a violence to the music, I think. The rhythm section, Josh Freese and Dave Grohl do a good job, and whoever else is on this album do a good job of kind of pushing the songs forward. Annie Clark plays a bunch of instruments. She's uber talented. Really like Hell Is Near. I love that 12 string on it. I think it sounds fantastic. It's a nice big lush sound. Kind of that channels definitely some Tori Amos on the beginning, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love that. Reckless, it's got a build to it, big explosion, violence, some cool synth textures here, and great synth on the whole album. Broken Man, uh, I, I hear some like Nine Inch Nails with teeth. It might be Dave Grohl on the drums, but it's got that heaviness to it. Flea's cool, got a bouncy little bass line. The second half of the song, some cool jagged guitar playing, which if I have any complaints about this album, not enough guitar playing from St. Vincent, not enough of that, unique, jagged, incendiary, even sometimes guitar. She does like this robotic thing really well. And, I think there's only 2, 3 songs where there's like a noticeable guitar line, a lead. So I could definitely use some more of that on here if I have any complaints. Big Time Nothing, kind of like an R&B, a mucusy bass line, that chick guitar, kind of dated 90s synth and effects. And I hear like a hint of Peter Gabriel's Big Time in there. Violent Time sounds exactly like The World Is Not Enough by Garbage. And I get some Garbage on this album as well. Maybe a little Fiona Apple, the hits. Tori, Fiona, Shirley, Peter. Everything on here is good. Sweetest Fruit has a quirky synth part, some Kate Bush, obviously inspired singing, some horns on this album. So Many Planets dips its toes into like white guy reggae, which is cool. Doesn't blow it. It's, decent white guy reggae. And a nice guitar part there. All Born Screaming sounds like a Paul Simon world tune, kind of warped and flipped on its head. That's the one with Cate Le Bon playing bass, one of two, I think. Yeah, it kind of just does its thing, and there's a vocal choir outro. And I guess if, complaints would be need more guitar playing from St. Vincent, please. The other thing I noticed is almost every track has like two distinct parts to it, which is a little weird that they do it on almost every song. Like the structures of them, they seem kind of normal, but like every song like mutates in the second half into something different. And like that's cool, but if you do it every time, kind of like that Swans album we just reviewed, if it's over and over again doing the same thing, like it loses some of the power. Like Flea brings in that jagged guitar, Sweetest Fruit have these big like Edge-esque chords to them. Big Time Nothing brings in these 90s elements. Hell has a swirling piano that drops in. And I don't know, maybe a couple more just like traditional song structures would have worked to offset like this tendency to completely change the song up and break out of the verse chorus structure. So it kind of drains the power and surprise since it's every song. But I think the songs all sound really well. I really like the production. I really like the playing. There's a lot of good melodies. I really like her singing on all of it. So I think it's very good. It's a mid 4 star. It's probably like an 8.5 out of 10. Top 10 on the year for me, or right around there.
I found this one, I think it's good. Say that first. I think it's a good record, but I did find it a little disappointing, and I actually like it a little less than Daddy's Home. To me, it feels a little like it's lacking identity. It just kind of is sort of like her older stuff, like Mass Seduction. I don't think that's a very good record. And Daddy's Home were very stylized, you know, better or worse if you like them or not. They have very clear aesthetics assigned to them. The album art and the whole feel of the projects are very cohesive and are what they are. This one feels like kind of a retreat from that idea back to her prior work. So to me, this record sounds very much like St. Vincent, just doing St. Vincent. And that's okay. And maybe that's what a lot of people are hoping for after the last two records, people not liking them very much, and people definitely not liking Daddy's Home as much as I did. So maybe that's a welcome return to form, but I just didn't find it that exciting. I think it sounds good. The production is solid. I don't think there's any problem with the way it's recorded or anything like that. The songs didn't grab me the way that her old songs used to. Like going back to the albums that I think she's kind of emulating here, self-titled, especially the lyrics on that record grabbed me so much listening to it and pulled me into those songs in a big way. And I can't say any of the lyrics on this record grabbed me very much at all. Usually the songs here start with some kind of cool sound, some kind of cool groove. The song starts, oh, that's a cool, interesting guitar sound. And then it just kind of doesn't go anywhere. I don't know. I didn't find the choruses on this record to be that infectious. My favorite song here, Big Time Nothing. I think that song's really cool. I love the synth bass on it. I think it has her most interesting guitar playing. There's some really like cool jagged parts that come in. She's singing some really cool harmonies. Just as it starts to really get cooking though, the song ends at 2:59. It's like, what happened? You had the best moment of the record about to hit and you just stopped. And so that's frustrating. Then the other track that I like a good bit is the closing track, the title track, which has Cate Le Bon on it and Stella Magazawa on drums. And that one stretches out a little. That's like 6:55 or something. That's a longer track and has some room to breathe. So those two tracks I think are pretty cool. Wasn't really into the Bond-esque violent times. I don't think, yeah, that's a sound that worked that well. Everything else was just like, okay, this sounds exactly how I would expect a St. Vincent record to sound. I didn't really think Dave Grohl brought much to the table, or Josh Freese, or I mean, that could have been those tracks could have had any drummer on them, and I would not have known the difference. I think it's good, but it's only a 3.5 for me. It's not like best of the year type good. Just a nice listen. It sounds like old Annie Clark. If you like St. Vincent, you'll like it, but yeah, not really blowing me away. I needed something a little newer sounding, something a little different. It's to me was kind of predictable.
I don't know if I think it sounds like self-titled at all. I'd have to go back and listen, but that one had like a robotic, cold feel to it. This one felt more arty and like 80s stylistically, if not sounding like 80s, but like a feel for more like, Kate Bush or something like that. But I will say, not a lot of choruses on this album at all. Distinct lack of big choruses. That definitely hurts it a little bit. But I still think it's cool. But it could have used some more choruses instead of weird middle change offs where it's a different song all of a sudden.
Yeah,
But I still like it.
I agree. I also still like it, but it's weird. It's like 3.5s are like I have to defend giving a 3.5, but 3.5 is fine. It's good. All right, let us know what you think of this record. Drop it in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and check the video description for Patreon, Instagram, all that stuff. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.